While everyone else seems to be killing each other in the streets or killing each other in the comments, we're just here to talk about home gyms. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rip, Rant, Repeat. It's the podcast where we talk about, well, home gyms, gym gear, gym people, and occasionally home gym drama because we're nerds and we embrace it. So if you're new here, I'm Jason, also known as Man Who Parks and Gym. And if you've been here a while, welcome back, you beautiful iron loving or electronic resistance obsessed home gym degenerates. All right, enough intro stuff. Let's jump into one of my favorite parts of the show. It's time for the community spotlight, where I feature one of you or your glorious basement, garage, spare bedroom, shed, dungeon, whatever structure currently contains your squat rack. This week, I'm definitely spotlighting Jared Martin, who is clearly having the best week ever, as he just learned today that he won $250 from Bells of Steel for his gym. And he sent over some video of his setup. So I kind of skimmed through it. I wanted to see if I could maybe grab some screenshots or something like that so I could get him a proper home gym feature on Rep Rant Repeat. So this one's exciting. Now, if you've ever met Jared, like say at Home Gym Con, which by the way, added a few more vendors even since my last podcast and is now in the triple digits. I don't think last time I said it was right before, I don't remember. It was right before the first of the year. And I think that the goal was to get 100 by the first. And if so, then ticket prices will be locked in or something like that. I don't know if Jake met that goal or not, but he is now in the triple digits with a few new, and he's even got some big news that he hasn't quite announced yet. So I digress. Sorry. But if you've met Jared, then you know he's definitely not a DYEL. If you know what I mean, dude just walks around juicy all day. So I'm excited to share the gym and the equipment that he uses to fill out the t-shirts the way that he does. And let me say this real quick, because I still don't get enough submissions. Okay. Send me your gyms. Okay. Send pics, send videos, tag me on Instagram, tag me on YouTube, tag me ringside at the MMA fight on the White House lawn on the 4th of July. DM me, use a carrier pigeon, whatever. I'm open, I'm available, I'm flexible, whatever you got to do. Send those to me because listen, you deserve it. The listeners crave it. And best of all, you'll be one of the very few people on planet Earth to own the exclusive Rep Rant Repeat community spotlight decal. And let's be honest, can your home gym ever truly be finished if you don't have a Rep Rant Repeat sticker slapped on the wall somewhere? I'm just saying it's kind of a flex. All right, now let's get into it. Okay, as you'll notice, Jared's gym is mostly in a bedroom that's downstairs in a basement. And like any true home gym, he's got some spillover equipment in the main basement area, which is where we're going to start this one. Okay. So this is, I didn't do screenshots. Instead, I'm just going to show you the videos and we'll kind of pause it where we need to talk about a couple of things or whatever. But so just to give you some perspective, if you're listening and not watching, we are downstairs in a basement in kind of the main basement area. And then later on, we'll move into like a basement bedroom type situation. Okay. So right now, main basement area. So we're looking at the Bells of Steel lat pull down low row combo unit selectorized. Really cool. I know a few people with this. It's a nice unit. And next to that, he has got the old Schwinn Airdyne. Now this one is one of those tried and true. They're great for hit. Always a top contender with the Rogue Echo bike. They stand the test of time. Although I wouldn't recommend putting a lot of miles on them at once. Like I said, really good for hit, but not great for long endurance bike riding. Stationary bike riding. It's like a fan bike, basically, right? So that's in here. Like I said, this is like a main area. So he's got seating and things like that. Also next to it, of course, he's got a few attachments for his selectorized or his lat pull down low row. And then to the side of it, he's also got like a DIY attachment rack for what looks like the RitFit mag grip style cable attachments. So pretty cool there. It's about 3 feet tall, something like that, and just has rack attachments going down it. Across the room, if you turn around, kind of look just past the kids' toys and what looks like a little seating area there. He's got the Bells of Steel reverse hyper GHD combo. I think if I'm not mistaken. I think that they call that thing the reverse hammer, maybe. Reverse hammer? Is that right? Or am I getting that confused with some sort of sexual position that's probably banned in the Bible Belt? I don't know. Anyway, these things are really good. I mean, for posterior chain work, there's really, I mean, well, there are a lot. There's not a best way to do anything, right? There's just ways that are different. But this is, in my opinion, GHD, glute ham raises, things like that. Those are for your posterior chain, like for your lower posterior chain and stuff, like what doing pull-ups is. Like you can't outgrow them. You can't get too strong for them or whatever. The stronger you get, the bigger you get, the more you weigh and stuff, the harder they get or the heavier, it's just one of those things. It's just a really good movement. They got this machines, the GHD got really popular around 2020, 2021, something like that, 2021, early 2022, something like that. Everybody had GHDs. It was like the thing to have. And then companies started making this kind of race to make GHDs fit into garage spaces a little bit better because people were starting to complain they're too big and whatnot. And then as those sort of phased out a little bit, the reverse hypers came in, which were also another large piece. And then this particular one, I think Rogue already had the donkey out by that point, which is like their combo reverse hyper or whatever. But they started to integrate those in. And then for whatever reason, I mean, they're still just as effective as they were then. They're just not as popular. I don't know. I think what happened, honestly, is I think people learned how freaking hard they are. The exercises, they are really hard to do, which makes them easy to skip. And people just find that maybe they prefer machines or something like that over as opposed to like having to use bands and do assisted GHRs just to be able to get one is a feat in and of itself, right? And I don't know what we end up doing. We know that they're big pieces, but we convince ourselves that we're going to do all these things with it. We end up getting it. It ends up being a drink spotter, or we put laundry on it, or whatever it may be, and it becomes this giant kind of albatross, which is a weird word to use since it's a bird, which is relatively small. And but anyway, it becomes this giant thing that is like taking up too much space, and we convince ourselves that we should get rid of it and get the space back and do something else with it. But anyway, uh, not really sure what happened with the GHDs in every garage gym, but they were there for a while, and they're still just as effective as they were then. Really great pieces. I could see those coming back someday, but maybe not. I don't know. But let's move along here. I think that's actually the end of it. Yeah, that's at the end of it. Get a little bit better view of it, but that's it. So, all right, moving into the basement bedroom. Oh God, there are so many jokes in that statement. But hey, is that a cable attachment from Porter Phys Ed? All right, I do see cable attachments from Porter Phys Ed. Also looks like belt fed, and maybe I see bells of steel on there. Also, yeah, the Eclipse grip from Porter. Those are these orange things here he's got hanging are those. I think those are from like Mark Bell slingshot or whatever. And they're a cable attachment that is basically on an elastic band. And the idea is that it's supposed to create instability and build your stabilizer muscles and things like that. I never really did get into those. I felt like they were a little bit gimmicky. Jared, you can tell me I'm wrong. Those may not even be what those are, but that's what I think they look like. So, but got a few cable attachments there, which I'm assuming means he's got a cable machine somewhere nearby. But right now we're looking at some additional attachments. I see he's got a custom rotating fat bar attachment from JD Gym Equipped. I can recognize that knurl anywhere. You're welcome, Kevin. Also, a couple items from Black Widow in there. And is that, I don't know if that flat bar right there, I don't know if that's the one from, I know 4-6 has one. And also, a few people got them from, what was that guy's name that was stealing everybody's money? I mentioned him once before, but it'll come to me tomorrow or at 3:00 in the morning when I'm asleep. But lots of cable attachments. There's something from Black Widow right there. I see that, recognize that. And he uses them on this cable tower here. Now, what's cool about this cable tower, or it's adjustable cable column or whatever. Now, you want to remember he's in a basement, right? Where ceiling height is kind of a concern. So this thing it's either custom made or it's custom cut to fit, which Either way is pretty cool to have that, to be able to get that down into a basement. And then next to it, he's also got a set of these weird looking, pause on this spot here, but he's got these weird looking, like triangular shaped dumbbells. They're from ATX and they're called the Delta dumbbell. Okay. It's hard to see from the video, especially in this little, snip where I stopped. Uh, but have no fear. Allow me to paint a picture. Okay. So take yourself back to math class. Imagine an isosceles triangle. That's the one that has, two sides are equal, and the one of them, in this case anyway, is slightly shorter. We're going to call that the base. Okay. So to for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to try not to overcomplicate this because they're just dumbbells at the end of the day. But just imagine you've got two triangles that are connected by a rotating handle, but the handle, instead of being in the center like it would be on a normal traditional dumbbell, the handle is up at the top, like at the topmost peak of the triangle. And then down on the right hand or the left hand, depending on which end you're looking at, one of the other corners, it has like a foam roller, leg roller type pad thing that connect the two sides. So the triangles are the weights themselves, and they're connected by, like I said, a rotating handle. And then on the other corner is like a pad that could go, like if you're doing a dumbbell curl or something like that, that pad will keep it on your elbow, keep it on your forearm. I mean, not your elbow, to kind of keep it in place, kind of like using a what's that curl bar, like the curl bar from Savage that has that thing that keeps your wrist straight, kind of a thing. So pretty cool there. He did tell me that they also perform kind of like kettlebells, which is also a way to maybe describe the appearance of them, as the handles at the top, like it would be on a kettlebell. Pretty cool. Not something I've seen. I've never seen one of these or a set of these in any of the other spotlit featured gyms that we've done on Rep Rant Repeat. So pretty neat to see. I've never actually seen these in person or anything either. You just don't see those. I don't know if maybe they'll become more prevalent once ATX starts actually has more of a footprint in the US, but pretty cool to see those, and cool to see that somebody has those in there. So now to the left of these, we move over our left. See, he's got this, you can see a freestanding upright from Synergy. Hold on. Better look at the dumbbells there. But he's got this freestanding upright from Synergy. It's in bright red with some he's got the bells of steel lateral raise. Can't think what's that thing called, the boulder shoulder something. But he's got that that plate loaded lateral raise from bells of steel, and then at the bottom of it on dumbbell stands or whatever, he's got the weapons, along with at the top of it some weight storage that's kind of dedicated weight for the lateral raise machine thing. So very cool. I'm all about little standalone, and especially if you can squeeze just a little bit more usefulness out of it. Like he's got the taller, it's a dumbbell stand, but it has the taller spine on it, so he's able to put that lateral raise. We all know how much I love those things. So also in the room just behind that is what he considers to be the heart of his home gym, and that is the bells of steel half rack. Now those who are watching along, you'll notice in this blurry picture where I stopped it, spoiler alert, it may only be a half rack, but dude managed to squeeze twice the storage onto it, which has to account for something, right? He's even got a barbell sitting on the very top of the rack. I think we see that right there. It's one of his deadlift bars or whatever, just creeping up there on top of the rack. I guess he's safe from it because he's got those globe, what are those called, the crown pull-up bar thing or whatever. I do wonder how you do pull-ups in there with it so close to the ceiling. I mean, he's got a little bit more room to his ceiling than I've seen in some other basement gyms. But I guess he just either half reps it or just ducks his head down whenever he pulls up. Either way, it's got lots of plates, everything from deep dish bells of steel, which are no longer in production, which is pretty cool. I guess that probably gives them a vintage appeal, at least in Rob Vintage Weights PGH's mind. And then also he's got thin grip plates from Weighted Out. He even has some, I noticed some, you will see here in just a second, He's got some limited edition weighted out plates from Home Gym Con, which is very cool. The red ones that we'll see. Now he's got the snapback rollers from Bells of Steel, which are on the rack. Also has, like I said, here's the better look at the deep dish plates. He's got a custom belt from Belt Fed. These plates now weighted out plates. When I did an episode earlier once for those who haven't just been hanging on my every word. I did an episode earlier called Just the Tip, where we talked about the dangers of kind of wind inning or wanting for more and that kind of stuff, and playing this dangerous game of like talking about things that you know you don't need, but maybe you would anyway. And I talked about buying some thinner plates with grips. Now I left out weighted out for some reason. I just hadn't even thought about it, but I actually think weighted out has the thinnest plates and they have the largest grip. So they are definitely one to consider also. I know I've talked with Jared about them before, and what he really likes is that they don't take up room. You know, that's one of the benefits of the thin plate that I think is kind of undersold. You don't have to have a lot of space to store them. Like my deep dish plates, I've got what, 12 deep dish 45s. That takes up a lot of space, man. When those things are 2.5 inches thick or whatever, versus these that are, 3/4 of an inch or so, I wouldn't need 4 or 5. You don't need as much storage space to keep your weights. It's not even about the bar length, about storing them on the bar. It's about storing them in your gym and freeing up space for other things instead of just stupid plates, right? So he's got quite a few of those. He's got some bumper plates also from Bells of Steel. He has the Black Widow. What are they called? They're like the dip attachments or whatever. I don't remember if he has a cool, catchy name for them, but two individual dip attachments. Kind of a better look at the Bells of Steel monolift thing, snapback rollers. Now, like I said, he did tell me that his rack is kind of his absolute favorite, and it's his most used single item in the gym. And I think it's kind of funny because when he sent that, he was like, "Man, I don't think that's very creative." I appreciate the clarity and the transparency and the honesty there. Even if you feel like you needed, I'm not asking you to wow people's minds. What we want to know is what I think is interesting is there are some people like myself. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know. I go back and forth with whether or not I actually need a rack. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if this is just me wanting something else or whatever, but I'm like, I look at my HLP sometimes and I'm like, could I, if I just got like a lat pull down and a functional trainer, would I even need a rack, or would I be able to get away with everything else that I've got? Would I be able to get away with like just having a really good chest press, a good lat pull down, and a functional trainer? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. You know what I mean? So I do think it's really interesting, and that your most valued piece in there is your rack, because I'm looking at mine like, do I even need that thing? So regardless, I thank you for sharing that information. I think it's helpful, and I think it's useful for others to be able to kind of gauge. And it's going to be, it can vary from one person to the next, and it's okay. We don't all have to feel like I always I don't see these as often anymore, but for a long time, it was kind of a cool thing to talk about. Where do you start when you're building a home gym? And people always say, like, you got to get a 6 post rack or a giant rack, whatever. I don't ever agree with. I'm like, I think you now, knowing all the things I know now, I'd say start with freaking paint and lighting and flooring, and then everything else will fall into place. But at least you won't have to move up all your machines out of the way to lay your floors down the third time you upgrade your floors or something like that. But so so let's move along to the other side of the same room where he keeps both of his benches. So he's got this one here on the left is the Rit Fit Gator. And then that's kind of just a secondary bench that he's got. And then he's got also the Rep AB 5200 2.0. And if you look, he kind of glosses over it, but I'm going to pause it when we get to it. So this is the 5200 2.0. He's pointing at, for those who are watching, pause him as he's pointing at what is called the bamboo pad. Now, if you're not familiar with the bamboo pad, it's similar to the AbMat ROM pad, which recently came out from as a collaboration from AbMat. Now, the bamboo pad pre-exists the ROM pad. It's harder to get a hold of. I can't even think of what country the dude is in that Jared ordered it from. Costs a lot of money. It took a long time for him to get it. It's different in that it's made of a different material, for one. It's also longer. It's like twice the length of the AbMat ROM pad. Now, I've got the AbMat ROM pad fine. I don't know that you would want it, there have been some people that have complained about some of the materials that were used. They felt like it was not squishy enough or something like that. I think it's probably really hard to come up with something like that to accommodate a wide range of users, because I would imagine that the squish and all that stuff is going to be, or the preference of squish, it's kind of like toilet paper or something, right? Like some people just want the soft kind and some want I don't know what people want, but I'm guessing that it has to do with maybe how much are you benching. Somebody that's benching 135 might prefer a softer pad than somebody that's benching 405, right? I don't know. But one of the things that I personally, my maybe only complaint about it, and this is weak. I know it is. It feels weak even saying it out loud. But the things that I've noticed about it the most is that it's like, I wish I had a picture of it here or something, but it's shaped like they just took like imagine like a foam roller, cut it in half lengthwise, and then chop the ends off of it, and it's, I don't know, 12 inches long or so. I wish that they had, at least on one end, maybe cut it at like a 45-degree angle or a 30-degree angle or something like that, so that it kind of like eases its way up into. Instead, it's like this hard, it's just that corner. It's that corner, like whenever I lay on it, it's that corner digs into my back. I get used to it. I'm not used to it, but it smashes itself down as I start you know, getting kind of wriggle my way into the lift and that kind of a thing. But that's been my kind of one piece of feedback. If I had been a tester of that thing, I would have said, is there anything you can do to take out that initial edge, that shock of like, it's like putting your toes in the freezing cold swimming pool the first time you go swim in May or something like that. But you get used to it, but you have to relive it every single time you use it. But anyway, that's another topic for another day, I guess. But before I leave the AbMat ROM pad, I do want to point out that you should probably, of course, maybe just don't take to the comment section of a Donnie Thompson post to offer a new perspective. I just don't think the feedback window is open at the old Fatapillar home gym these days. That's just a hunch. Okay, so just on the other side of the benches is the shelf of shit, right? This is a recurring theme in home gyms. We've seen these a lot. I've had to personally get rid of shelves in my never ending quest for zen in the gym because I end up just piling stuff up, man. It gets messy and it just starts to become these things where just I feel this kind of overwhelming sense of anxiety about having the mess in there and stuff. I see he's got that. He doesn't seem to be as bothered by it as what I would be. I don't see, I mean, I see a lot of stuff in there. I don't see any wipies though. Odd. I don't know. I'm not sure, not sure where he keeps his, but I don't see those going on in there. A little tire action and one of those hammers. I think he said he picked that up on Marketplace. See some several specialty bars. There's a SSB, got a multi-grip bar, rackable curl bar, the VHS bar, original VHS bar, axle bar, there's a trap bar, and then this is like a grip station. So side note, if you're into grip training and you want to compete, they do have a competition at Home Gym Con. Check with Rob at Vintage Weights PGH for details on that. But I digress. Back to Jared's gym. So, like I said, this is kind of his grip training station. Lots of little stuff there. And then we'll see also he's got more grip implements and stuff kind of behind his door here in just a minute. But right now we're taking a look at a leg extension leg curl from Dynabody. And I will say this probably every time I see one of these in a home gym. This is, in my opinion, a number one must have in a gym. It's probably because of my training style and my preferred training style, but I really think that if you're especially going to agree with me if you are someone who hates doing squats. You don't even maybe have to hate doing squats, but just hate doing them as your sole source of leg day or anything like that. I just think they're just really hard to replicate those movements in isolation like that. And I really do think that a lot of people benefit from those. But let's see, moving on from here. So, like I said, right behind the doorway, you can see all this chalky stuff here are grip implements. This is what he's training to beat you in the grip competition at Home Gym Con. So give him a reason to own all that stuff and put it to use. All right. And now we take one final look here. I'm going to pause it right here, but we take one final look at the space. We can see, well, we see open area, right? I see room for more machines, and Jared sees open area with room to use the space. But what we don't see is his least favorite, least used, or the most skipped piece of equipment, which, according to him, is a loadable mace. So he said that with the loadable mace, he has to go outside to use it, which just adds additional time or takes more time to his workout than what he's really willing to commit to. Uh, Oftentimes it's cold or it's rainy or whatever. It's just not something that he finds worth the effort. And I think that's actually something in the last feature gym that we looked at, there was one of those from Rogue in the corner that we talked about, and that was kind of my assessment there too. I figured that's what I would do if I had one. I think I would probably buy it, put it on the wall. It would satisfy the itch the day I needed to buy something. It would give me that reason to stare out the window and wait for the UPS guy to come. And it'd give me that shot of dopamine the day the delivery happens. And then I'd kind of play with it when I first open it and then stick it in the corner. And then few months later, I'd be like, get this thing off of my shelf. I gotta make room for something else or whatever. But all in all, he is absolutely blessed to have such a truly great space outfitted with the things that make it unique to him, his training style and his preferences. And that, I mean, that is what makes the home gym life special, right? Just above and beyond the stuff like, not having to come face to face with an old man's dick as he blow dries his pubes in the locker room, like Captain Morgan after a long swim in the Caribbean or something like that, right? But just, I don't know where I'm going with that. Okay, this next segment, I'm calling home gym community stuff that makes you wonder the fuck. And buddy, we got some contenders this week. All right, first up, Exponent Edge slash Freak Athlete. What is even going on over there? Okay, so let me just briefly explain the collaboration for maybe those who don't know. Exponent Edge is a small company that came out with a few products a couple of years ago. And one of their kind of most notable one was the Infinity Bench. That's what they called it. And it's basically just an adjustable bench that similar to the Prime Shorty bench where you can remove the headrest. This one has a headrest that folds down out of the way. You can also use it as like a chest supported row and things like that. Really a good idea. It's a great way to make extra use out of a bench. I can't believe people haven't done things like that before. Then more recently, Exponent Edge had a collaboration with Freak Athlete on their ABX bench, which features that same folding headrest style. Okay. Now, a couple of weeks ago, they sent out this email that was supposed to bring clarity. And somehow, at least for me, it did the exact opposite. So it was something like, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but it was like, we believe clarity matters, especially when it comes to innovation and authorship. And it kind of goes into how they were the creators of the folding bench technology in their Infinity Bench and how they later entered into a licensing agreement with Freak Athlete, et cetera. Right. So then it goes on to say that that agreement is no longer representative of an active partnership, but it never really expands on what they mean by that. Like it talks a lot about how they were a new and growing company, et cetera, but it leaves you kind of drawing the conclusion that, I don't know, I guess Freak Athlete has like breached the licensing agreement, I guess. Or I don't know how and what does it even mean for Exponent Edge and Freak Athlete's ABX? What does it mean for us? Like, do we need to get our pitchforks ready or should we just hang them back up? All control. I don't know, but cool or super helpful, crystal clear. I don't know, whatever. At this point, I don't even know what's happening with any of it. I haven't even seen anything else about it since. I don't know what products are coming and whose logo is going to be on them, or if I accidentally subscribe to like a philosophical thought experiment. But regardless, I do hope it all works out. Truly, I do. But man, that message really raised more questions than it answered, for me anyway. All right. Up next, the Vulcan Talos V 2.0. All right. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but Vulcan announced a new updated Talos. Somehow, I don't know, they made the announcement weirdly defensive. It's like they went out of their way to say things like, these updates are definitely not because of feedback we received, which is a wild thing to volunteer. Like, no one asked, but okay, I guess we're all pretending that this is just a coincidence. Listen, I'm glad they're updating the product. I mean, I think that's awesome. But the announcement felt like it was written by someone who had just read way too many comment sections. It was less, here's a cool new product, and more, I'm not mad, you're mad. All right, still, the Talos V 2.0 might be interesting. It might be a steaming pile of shit. I have a feeling we may never really know. Just, I don't know, maybe next time let the product talk and leave the therapy session out of the press release. Or hell, just do what every US auto manufacturer does when they need to disassociate from their steaming pile of shit and give it a different name, like when the Ford Escort became the Ford Focus or whatever that was. I'm just saying you still have time. That's it on that one. But next up, Rogue price increases. So apparently this was mentioned in their year-end email, which shout out to Darko for pointing that out. I didn't see it, probably because I unsubscribed from the Rogue emails somewhere around the time they started sending me, we dropped a new shirt, like a rapid release 3 times a day or something like that. But a buddy and fellow podcast listener, Todd, dug in early and he sent all the details outlining his findings on the prices going up. Right now, it seems to be most notable in the FM6 line. Lighter stacks, higher prices, and fewer included attachments are among the most significant changes. Honestly, am I shocked? Is anyone shocked? No. Do I love it? Does anyone love it? Also, no. But do I wish they were a little bit more transparent and direct about it? I mean, okay, yes, being on their email list would definitely help. But I'm saying that instead of hiding it in the fine print of a feel good end of year newsletter, like just tell us. We're adults. We're already emotionally prepared to spend too much money on steel. And I do believe that consumers or giving consumers the transparency of foresight allows them to make money saving decisions and even promotes brand loyalty. I mean, that's what Fringe Sport, that's one of the things that Peter Keller does with Fringe Sport. And people love that guy for it. And after all, prices of pretty much everything have continued to increase. And I won't speak for anyone else, but I'm not exactly making any more money than I was before, quote unquote, tariffs allowed US steel companies to increase their prices considerably. But whatever. Okay. Let's shift gears before my blood pressure spikes. Uh, the Spedience Gym Nano. Now, this is one that created some buzz. I think I've got a picture. Let me see if I can pull that up. Okay, here it is. The weakest picture, but the only picture on the internet. I don't know if the Gym Nano actually exists. I don't think it actually exists. I think it's a concept that they had announced at what is it, CES or whatever in Las Vegas. Now, it's made some buzz in the home gym community lately because it is a direct competitor or going to be a direct competitor to the Voltra, which everyone who has experienced electronic resistance and embraced it loves the Voltra. I don't know anybody that dislikes the Voltra other than the price or things like that. It's kind of a game changer here. And I'm telling you, I have the Spedience Gym Monster 2. I talk about it all the time. It really is cool. What I'm hoping that they do now, I know I've read the specs on it. It feels very much like a direct competitor. I know that some people are excited about this because they see this as they think it's going to come and undercut the price. I don't think that's the intention. I don't think that's expedience. That's not what they've done with the with the other smart systems that they have. What they're doing is something similar, but they're creating their own ecosystem and they're trying to sell value in that stuff. Like, for example, with the Gym Monster 2, they have their built in workout programs and things like that, but they don't have a monthly fee and you don't have to bolt it to your wall and things. So it's a little bit different, but definitely not a cheaper alternative over. I mean, it's a pro and con. You got to weigh it and balance it out and all that stuff. That's how I suspect the Gym Nano is going to be. I did see in some of their press release stuff where they did say that the pricing of it was going to be consistent with similar items on the market. So I wouldn't expect it to come in and be $500 cheaper or half the price or anything like that. It's not. I don't think they're selling this as a value alternative in that regard. I think the value in this is more along the lines of it playing into their ecosystem, right? Like they're also releasing, which we'll take a look at here in just a second, the Expedience Strap, which is, a thing that's going to track all your data and things like that. They also have their AI driven Wellness Plus programs. If you have the Gym Monster 2, if it stores all that information in there, and it also, your data, like your it's just I think this is more where I believe they're going with this. I mean, it still is an electronic resistance thing. It looks cooler. I mean, just all they had to do, all that Beyond Power has to do is come out with a black one, and it would already look cooler than what they currently have. But this one, the design of it looks cooler. Hopefully, it has a longer battery life. Hopefully, some of those things. But I think if I could put one thing that I know from the Expedient stuff that I've got, the Gym Monster 2, if there's one thing I would want to integrate, and I don't know how you could make this happen, but in a world where we have self-driven cars, I don't feel like I'm asking too much. But if you could have something where like you do have an app, whether if it's accessible through a TV or even if you had to buy like a separate screen, like an iPad type screen or something, but an app that communicates with the Gym Nano and has that library of workouts, because the cool thing with the Gym Monster is that you can also create your own workout, right? So if you know how to program a workout and things like that, you can do that, put it into there, and then follow along on your electronic resistance machine. If you can do that kind of a thing with the Gym Nano, would be really cool. That's one of the things that's like I've said this, and I'm not. I have a affiliation or whatever with Spedience because I've agreed to make content for them on my MW Pig channel. But I'm telling you, the thing that I like the most about it is that integrated um, workout system where it's counting your reps, it waits for you to finish and things like that. If they could do that kind of thing with this, the setup and all that, it would really, I think, take this to another level. That's something I haven't seen in the Beyond Power. I don't know how you can make it work with this, but that's where I would be the most excited. Otherwise, I am hoping that I'll get to test this thing out. I did send them an email immediately, but I sent it from a different email address, so maybe I need to send another one. But I haven't gotten anything back on it, believe it or not, which is not uncommon for MW Pig emails out, by the way. People ghost me a lot. But that's the Expedience Gym Nano. I'm going to move, like I mentioned a minute ago. We'll take just a quick look at the Expedient strap. Again, stock photo. I could have probably just shown you anything. I could have probably just put a hairband or something on my wrist, and you would have probably believed that we were looking at a Expedient strap. It's kind of like having an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or one of those kind of things. It's going to track data like your heart rate. It's going to track stuff like your core body temperature, sleep schedules, things like that. And it's going to play into, like I said, Spedience's ecosystem. It's supposed to, like if you do the Wellness Plus, the AI driven stuff, it's supposed to track and monitor all of those things. You put your food into, if you have also their scale and all that stuff, it tracks all these metrics, and it's supposed to help you maximize your goal potential or whatever, based on things like how much rest you get, what your metabolism is, and just things like that, right? Everything that it can read through a smart device. And it's also, from what I've read about it, going to be much more comfortable. Like I don't like sleeping in. I don't really like wearing a lot of jewelry. I mean, even I've got my wedding ring is one of those really super thin rubber ones. I don't love sleeping in, like, when I had an Apple Watch, when I wore one of those more, and I was supposed to sleep in it. I don't like doing that, man. So maybe something like this won't be as abrasive for people that don't like sleeping in jewelry or wearing things around. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think if you're into that kind of stuff, and um, the more that we see people accept and embrace electronic devices and electronic stuff in the gym, I think that these things might be more prevalent as well. So pretty cool that we have things like this coming out also. Then we've got the Temple of Gains rolling out some new and updated machines. Been iterating pretty fast lately, tweaking designs, improving ergonomics, and honestly listening to feedback, which is refreshing. And it's just something that they've been kind of known for since entering the market just a couple of years ago. Some of the new pieces look legit for garage gym owners who want selectorized or plate loaded machines. And I say this often, but Temple of Gains has kind of found that sweet spot between being a value leader, high quality, outstanding service, and just a full commercial gym equipment without going full commercial gym cost, right? So, coming soon are four updated strength machines with pre order discounts and ship dates. I think late February, early March is what I last saw. There's a plate loaded adjustable converging Smith machine with like a fid bench that you can do, like I said, full incline decline. That's going to be a plate loaded ISO lateral linear. I can't even say it. Plate loaded ISO lateral linear row, also a plate loaded ISO lateral explode row, right? Then a plate loaded ISO lateral explode lat pull down machine, version 2 on that also. So I'm looking forward to seeing more kind of real world reviews, especially on the converging Smith uh, chest press machine. That's one of those things that if I had the space, I would, that's one of those things that I really want to try that. I've seen a lot of, I've never used one like that, but I've seen them on the internet and things like that. I'm hoping that they have one of these at Home Gym Con this year. And not that I can put it in my space if I did one, if I did get one, but I've always wanted to try it and see how does it feel? Cause that's the thing. People get really caught up on range of motion, right? Like the range of motion, you better get full ROM or full range of motion. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. It kind of depends on the movement, maybe. Like for example, with a chest press, like this converging press machine, I think what I think is more, well, I don't want to say more, equally important, I guess. Range of motion to me, as long as your range of motion, if you're focusing on the pec, as long as it goes all the way down, stretches the pec and then stops right before you move into more shoulder dominant, that's where you're maximizing your range of motion for your pec. But what I think is maybe equally important, if not more important, is the path of motion or the arc of motion. But if you can on that, my concern with those converging Smith press machine or whatever is that you're just moving your arms in and out this way, but you're not really maximizing the way that the pec is designed to pull in. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but I'm interested in trying it nonetheless. And all these things coming out with all their updates and everything, in addition to all the work that he's been doing on the quad send, which is soon to be released as well. It is clear that Temple of Gains is definitely not sitting still. And I swear I'm not just saying that because I have an affiliate link in the description of every Rep, Rant, Repeat podcast that Jake uploads to YouTube either. Okay. Now, let's wrap this up with some marketplace madness, right? The Walmart $10 curl bars and flipping. First off, people flipping the $10 Walmart curl bars, right? I respect the hustle, but also, come on, man. If your entire business model is clearing out the fitness aisle at Walmart and relisting it for triple the price on Facebook Marketplace, I hope your bar band's in the middle of your first set of curls. Respectfully. I'm just kidding. To each their own. I really don't care how you live your life. And I happen to know a lot of people who do have or have built some pretty respectable home gyms, just by flipping gym equipment just like that. So whatever. Now, I've had my own marketplace adventures lately. I've been selling a few things too. And I swear, marketplace, it just never disappoints. So, like you post something, it's clearly priced, it's clearly described, it's clearly photographed, and someone will still message you something like, is this available? Yes. Would you trade for a kayak and a lawnmower engine? No, Brad, I would not. It just never ceases to amaze me how I can also churn a few $100, lose even more money, and yet it's still like I can't even tell that anything's gone. Like by the time I finally reach my breaking point where I have so much crap in there that I'm going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace, even though it's the bane of my existence. And then once I do, I don't even notice when things disappear. But regardless, the point that I'm trying to get to is that when you're going to make an offer on an item on Facebook Marketplace, whether if it's a lowball offer or otherwise, at least have the balls to make the offer. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't freaking stand it whenever I've got something listed, I've got a price that's $100, and then I get this kind of pussyfooting around trying to ask me for a better price. Like, well, would you take, what's the low dollar, or what do like, just throw a freaking number out there, man. I've already got a price on it. Don't ask me to price it again. You know what I'm saying? The worst I'm going to say is no. The worst I'm going to do is throw another number back at you, or I'm going to explain better why I'm asking the price I am. I'm going to show you how much it costs, something, you know what I mean? But that shit pisses me off. I don't even engage with that. I'll engage with it. Is this still available faster than I will engage with the pussyfooting around? Just have some balls, throw a price out there that you're comfortable with, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Again, send me your gems for the community spotlight. Um, Jared, I will get with you on getting your address to get you one of these for your gym. In the meantime, everybody else, actually, all of you guys that have been featured in the past, I have to sit down and I've got to go back through them and see who you are and stuff, and I'll reach out and I'll get your address. I just got some envelopes and some stamps, and I think I've got enough to cover what I've done so far. So tag me, DM me, email me, smoke signal me, whatever works. If you enjoyed the episode, give it a like, leave a comment, leave a review, share it with your lifting buddy or that one friend who keeps saying that they're going to build a home gym someday. And until next time, train hard, buy unnecessary equipment, use my links, use my codes, and I'll see you on the next episode of Rep Rant Repeat. Thanks.